Hari Om, and welcome back to Vedanta Jnana Yagna, which is also known as the Life and Vedanta. We are on the aspect where we are finding out, where we are investigating how did the entire creation come into being. But before we move ahead today, let us join our hearts, let us join our minds in our prayers. Kindly join me. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namah, Om Shri Saraswatyai Namah, Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah. Harihi Om. Truth is called as Sat, and Sat is one and only, as it is mentioned in the Vedas. Ekameva Advitiyam, meaning truth is one and one alone, and the emphasis given on it says that it is Advitiyam, meaning that which is non-dual. So, from something which is alone, complete, full, absolute, which cannot be parted, which is advitiyam, which is not dual, non-dual, how can anything come out? How can anything emerge from such thing? And this is where Vedanta picks up that very subtle indication from the Vedas that the world has, the universe has, the entire creation has emerged from Maya. Maya is said to be the Shakti, the power. But Vedanta adds one more connotation to it, and it says that it is not only Shakti, not only power, but it has an illusory power. Illusory power meaning what it has illusion. It is said that the entire universe has emerged from this illusion. But Maya is also known as insentient, that which by itself cannot do anything. Why? Because, as explained, Maya is based in Brahman, the truth, the reality, the Sat. But Sat is non-dual. You see, now you see the confusion that this creates. The difficulty is from that which is Sat, unbroken. How can even Maya come? Therefore, Maya is said to be the energy, the strength, the power of Brahman. In its pure form, it is absolute, single, non-dual. But when we speak of the creation world, when we speak of this created universe, we have to understand that anything that has to be created, you need two aspects. As we have explained this again and again before, the first aspect is required for any creation is the material aspect, the material cause, that is Maya. And there is another aspect which is required, which is the efficient cause, the intelligent cause. But that cannot be Brahman, because Brahman in its purest form is absolutely non-dual. We can't argue with that because that comes from the Vedas. Because Vedas are the essentially the pramana, the authority on the knowledge of the self. Therefore, here a new aspect is coined, a new word is coined. It is called Ishvara. What Ishvara has? It has the sentiency of Brahman. Just as what Maya has the Shakti, the power of Brahman. And now we have the intelligent cause, Ishvara, and the material cause, Maya. When these two meet, Ishvara and Maya, the creation takes place. Once again, let us revisit Maya and its aspects. Maya is known to be Trigunatmika. Atmika means endowed with. What? 3 qualities, 3 properties. What are the 3 properties? Sattva, knowledge aspect, Raja, activity aspect, and Tama, the insentient aspect. These are the 3 qualities inherent. You can say without these there cannot be Maya, or this is the Maya. Naturally, from Maya the evolution came as the 5 absolutely subtle elements. The 5 subtle elements, also known as Tanmatras. What were the 5? First came Akash, then came Vayu, then came Agni or Tejas, then came Apa. Apa is waters, and then came the Prithvi. Prithvi is earth. The 5 subtle elements that came, first was Akash, then Vayu, then Agni, then Apa, and then Prithvi. Agni is fire. It is also known as Tejas. All these 5 have the Trigunatmika qualities. So these 5 are endowed with Sattva, Raja and Tama. In the previous sessions, we came to know how from the Sattvic aspect, the Sattva aspect of these 5 subtle elements, from the Sattva aspect came that aspect which we call as perception. Those aspects which can perceive, meaning the knowledge aspect. From the same 5 elements, from their Rajasic aspect, came the aspect of activity. The aspect of activity. And today I will be explaining to you from these 5 Tanmatras, subtle elements, how the tamasic aspect, from the tamasic aspect came this entire universe. From the sattvic aspect came the knowledge aspect, or that what we call as the subtle aspect. Because it is subtle, the gross, me and the others and the entire world cannot perceive the subtle. This is called the Karana Sharira. Go back in your thoughts. There are 3 Shariras we had spoken about. Not 1 body, but 3 bodies. And the subtlest of the subtle body was called as Karana Sharira, means causal body. The Sattva aspect is the causal body. Next, the aspect where Raja takes place where activity, sense of activity is born. That is called as the subtle body. Subtle body means Sukshma Sharira. No doubt it is called subtle body. It is subtler than the gross body, the Sthula Sharira. But subtler to the subtle body is the Karana Sharira. Why? The Karana Sharira is known as the unmanifest. The subtle body is called the manifest. And the gross body or the Sthula Sharira is known as the gross body. Now, what is the difference between gross body, subtle body, and causal body? Let me give an example. A thought emerges in your mind. Can I see any thinking? Can I see your thoughts? No. It is your thought, it is in your mind. That thought is called a subtle thought. When you express that thought into words, my ears can pick it up. The words which come out of your mouth, which are actually your thoughts, the words are called the gross words. So this is how subtle is in your mind. It is manifested in your mind. Gross, when it is said and I can hear somebody else and can perceive it. Then what is causal thought? The thought which arose in your mind, it was there, but you were unaware. Your mind was unaware. It was in a even subtlest manner, which is called unmanifest. There is no thought in this universe which has just emerged for the first time. It has always been there in a seed form. But that seed form is so subtle that even the mind intellect cannot see. Therefore, it is called the causal body. I hope you can see the thread that the causal or the unmanifest is that which even the mind and intellect cannot see. And when that thought emerges into your mind, it is then called manifest in your mind. And when the same manifested thoughts are spoken and it can be perceived by this local ears, by the gross body, that is called as the sthula or the grossified version of the same thought. So in this way, causal body, then subtle body, then the gross body. Now we come back to what came from the tamasa aspect of the 5 Mahabhutas, the subtle 5 elements, tanmatras, from each of their tamasa aspect, the inert aspect, together, all of them together is called samashti. The word is samashti. In English, we call it the macrocosm. They all came together, and with permutation and combination, they went under a process called panchikarna. We will explain that, what it means. Panchikarna, the grossification process. What went under grossification? The subtle elements, tamasic aspect alone of all the 5 subtle elements, their tamasic aspect grossified together and they became the universe. This is called samashti. And in the same way came the vyashti, the individual. In this way, how we can see what is the commonality between the universe, the world, and us is because of this. That with what the universe is made is the same thing that we are made of. Therefore, there is tadatmya, there is similarity, oneness between the world, the universe, and us. So, the entire world together, when it is emerging, it is called sammashti, macrocosm. And when the individual is created, that is called vyashti, means microcosm. This is the tamasic aspect. So, understood? No. Of course, you have to listen to it many more times to understand. Why? Because here we are not only speaking of chemistry, we are not only speaking of biology, we are not only speaking of physics, but it is something subtler than all this. We are speaking of those aspects with which not only the body, but even the mind intellect has been created. Means we are speaking of something which is subtler than the body, than the mind intellect. Therefore, the mind and the intellect gets a little confused. You have to wrestle with this knowledge. Think deeply. Reflect again and again. And then it clicks that how it happens. But our masters, our gurus, are so loving and so kind and so karunamaya, means they are so full of compassion that time and again they keep repeating the same things till that day that the student, that the sadhaka understands it clearly. The world and the universe, the entire universe, is called sammashti, macrocosm. How it has emerged? It has emerged of the tanmatras, the 5 subtle elements. Of the 5 subtle elements, they have emerged from the inert aspect alone. Yes, in this world, in this universe, objects and things and beings, beings means us, things means everything that you see, object means those aspects, are inert in nature. By themselves, they have no sentiency. By themselves, they can't move. They cannot do things. By themselves, nothing can be created of them. That's why it is called tamasa, the inert objects. But in this world, we also see activity, movement. That thing which in the world is active, which is moving, it is called that it has come from the raja aspect. The raja aspect of the 5 subtle elements. Subtle elements. The reason I am emphasizing the word subtle, tanmatra, so much is because one has to clearly understand that only subtler things pervade the gross things, not the other way around. Gross things cannot pervade the subtle, but the subtle can pervade the gross. Therefore, I am emphasizing again and again that the raja aspect, they are subtler than the gross, the tamasa aspect, and the intelligence aspect, the sentiency aspect, the knowledge aspect has come from the 5 same 5 tanmatras, but only from the aspect of sattva, of the knowledge aspect. And that is why it is the subtlest, which is unthinkable by us. It is unconceivable by us. Therefore, in the world, we try to put all the elements that we know together, but it does not stand up and run. Is because they are purely grossified. They have emerged from a grossified aspect, not from the tanmatras. The tanmatra of the tamasic aspect were grossified, and then emerged these 5 elements that we know. That the we know means we perceive them. When we say something is gross, means we can perceive it. Perceiving has already been explained before. Seeing is perceiving, hearing is perceiving, feeling is perceiving. All these 5 sense organs, when they can perceive these sense objects, the sense objects are grossified and the senses are subtler than the grossified objects of the world. Understand? The grossified objects of the world, means the world that we live in, can be perceived by the senses of our body. But us, these senses are subtler than the gross world. However, each of our senses, sense organs, can perceive only one aspect of the world. For example, the ears can perceive sound, eyes can perceive light, skin can perceive sensation. In this way, one organ perceives one single aspect. Why? Because each of these organs have emerged from the subtle aspect of the Pancha Mahabhuta, or the 5 elements. So the organs are subtler than the sense objects. The senses, sense organs, are subtler than the sense objects in the correlation of them, and only that sense object can be perceived by that sense organ. That's a direct correlation. In this manner, we are related to the world exactly how it is. Now we come back to that. The samashti, macrocosm, is exactly how is the vyashti, the microcosm. Because there is a complete samyata, means they are completely same. Now we speak of the process which is called as panchikarna, or the grossification process of the tamasa aspect of the 5 subtle elements, from which the 5 gross elements have come. How they have come? It is on your screen. As you can see, on the left hand side is the gross column with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the space, air, fire, water and earth. And on the right hand side of your screen, there is the heading which says the tamas aspect of the subtle elements. In the first block over there, it is half of the space is kept intact. Imagine this, half of the space is kept intact, and 1/8 of each other elements, means 1/8 of air, 1/8 of fire, 1/8 of water and 1/8 of earth were mixed together. In this way, they were mixed together. The first aspect. Look at the second, air. Half of the air element was kept intact, and on the other half, the other four elements, 1/8 of space, 1/8 of fire, 1/8 of water, and 1/8 of earth were clubbed together. So in this way, if you continue seeing further, you will see that it is happening, that a permutation and combination is happening there. Something is mixing with something else, with a particular aspect of the element, one particular element being the maximum, and the other four elements being on equal parts. Then the next one is the same way going otherwise. In this way, the 5 gross elements that we perceive were created. The next chart explains it a little more clearly. Have a look. The first column, stages. The second column, space, air, fire, water. And the last column, description. First, stages. The space is full, air is full, fire is full, water is full. Means it is in their purest form, known as the subtle elements or tanmatras, each in itself. Look at the second one. Now you can see that that they were full and there is a line in the middle, means they have been divided into 2 equal parts. Means it has a natural tendency to divide into 2 equal parts. Look at the next, number 3. The dark aspect is supposedly kept as intact. The first half is intact. So once it is split completely, the first half is kept intact. Look at the next. The other half is divided into 4 aspects. So in this way, 25%, 25%, 25%, 25% makes 100%. When you split 100%, they became 50%. Then the 150% remained as it is. The other 50% was further divided into 12.5, 12.5, 12.5, 12.5. In that sense, now there are 4 parts plus 1 part. Total 5 parts of each of the 5 elements. Look further, what happens? In the 5th, you can see that each half combines with 1 bit of the other 4 elements. Means the half aspect of space, which is intact, 1 aspects of air, fire, water and earth were mixed together. And subsequently, think about all of them. This is how the Panchakarna process was completed. All this is easy to see and understand. Why is it easy to see and understand? Because we have seen it in the diagram form. We have heard you speaking so many times. But is it really like that? How will we come to know? As said before in this talk, that the Vedas have informed us, and we take Vedas as the pramana. But our own experience also says that we can infer what has been said with our experience. How? Let us take an example. The vegetables that we eat has starch, protein and many other things. Means it has the earth aspect. But Don't vegetables have water aspect also? All vegetables, when you feel them closely, every plant has its own heat, right? So, earth was there, water is there, heat is there. How many times we know when we eat, there are some soft sounds coming. What are those sounds? That is air pockets opening. All vegetables have air in that, isn't it? And all vegetables, they consume space. You see, in the grossified world, we can actually infer and see for ourselves that everything that we see in this world is actually a permutation and combination of these five. Think of things. In some more proportion, in some lesser proportion. But the permutation and combination is going on. Yes, in the beginning, there was only Maya and Ishvara. But with their blast of combination, which has not stopped yet, it is continuously creating more and more combination. And this is the reason why we say that the world is endless, because this process of mixing and admixturing is never ending, because nothing comes to an end. If I burn a paper, if I burn it, the paper converts into ash. One would say the paper has ended. But is that real end? No. It is just transformation of one particular form to another. You may say the paper has died, but from the point of view of the paper, it has never died. Why? Because it has just transformed from one shape, aspect to another. The qualities have been slightly modified from here to there. There is just a slight change, that's all. When you pick up that ash, break it down and throw it in the dust, and that dust is thrown in the mud. When the mud is mixed well and a tree grows from it, that same paper which turned into ash, which turned into dust, has now become a tree. And some time later, the tree gives a fruit, and you look at the fruit, you say, ah, very nice, and you eat that fruit. So the same paper has now come to you in the form of fruit. So the fruit has given us nutrition, and that paper has become the tree which is going to be used to make paper again. So where it has ended, this is the beauty of Vedanta. This is the beauty of our Shastra, that it explains to us life like nobody else. It says that life is not linear, that life is circular, that if you have taken birth, there will be end of this birth in the form of death, but that does not mean it is end of life. Life goes on. Why? Because the life principle is coming from that truth, is coming from that reality, is coming from that Sat, which is Advityam, which is non-dual, and which is for all periods of time, which is beyond time, which has been forever and which will be forever, Sanatana. And therefore, we need to understand all this creation. Yes, think about it, think everything. But what you need to remember is that all this is from Maya, and Maya is only illusory. I would say Maya has the power of illusion, but its power is totally dependent in Brahman, which we call as Ishwar, and that Ishwar is all pervading. That Ishwar is all pervading means it is in and through everything Today we take a Madhya Viram, but in our subsequent sessions, you will see how the man of understanding, how that person who has understood this truth, understood in the sense has completely come to be convinced that this is the truth and this is how the truth is, and that truth is nowhere, somewhere sitting in the seventh heaven, but it is sitting in me. It is me. These are the beautiful Mahavakyas, the great statements of the Vedas that we shall be discussing in the future sessions. But I would definitely want to thank one and all of you all to have had taken so much of time and patience and effort in listening to these talks, thinking about something which may have had initially felt as abstract, something unthinkable, or maybe an utopian idea. But I'm sure when we are leaving you at this point of study of this beautiful text called Tattvabodh, you will have had a different idea altogether. And believe me, this is the beginning. Why I say this is because this was the first text that we had ever studied as students of Vedanta. So imagine what all is yet to come. Kindly revisit these talks, the first, second and third Life and Vedanta series. Contemplate deeply about it and understand the fourth aspect, what and how a person of realization who has understood this reality, this truth, how does he live in this world? This shall be coming in Life and Vedanta, the fourth season. I pray to Bhagwan, I pray to that Ishwar that you all reflect deeply and sincerely on what has been spoken and look forward for the next sessions that are going to start with Life and Vedanta, the fourth season. Kindly join me for the end prayers. कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रिये वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृतिस्वभावा करोमि यद्गत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रिये वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृतिस्वभावा करोमि यद्गत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ